Mitra, finding meaning in adversity. How does someone who feels like they've lost everything even begin to do that?
I'm glad you used the right word. Sometimes it feels like we have lost everything. And sometimes we do lose everything. I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but often it's just a feeling. And if we truly look at it from a different perspective, it may not be everything. It may be some things that we have lost. So that's a good place to start, to really examine, question, did I lose everything? Because in the midst of losing, there's a lot of opportunity for gaining.
Um, Okay, so I've acknowledged that. I've acknowledged that I still have this body. I have my family.
Uh-huh.
There's still things that I have. What's next? I'm
Sure.
still in a really difficult situation. I've lost my home, my community. I'm grieving. I'm dealing with the insurance. My life seems like a total mess and unknown right now.
Yes. Yes. Acknowledging that, that's true. It is difficult. Um, and we have been built for difficult times. I just want to every now and then remind myself at least and remind people that want to listen to me that we were built for these times, just like the trees and other beings in nature, that they are built to weather the weather. We have been built to weather the weather of life. So that's just a philosophical aspect of it, because sometimes when we say that, that's not a period, that's a comma. We make it as a period. I've lost everything. I just can't handle it, and it's very difficult. But it's really comma. I can handle it. How? I don't know. I've never done this particular experience before. I need to figure it out, but I know that I can. So if the assumption is I can do it, however, I don't know it yet, is very different than I don't know it and I can't do it. And hence, this is really something that is out of my power and existence, basically. So, in a general sense, when we have a problem in front of us, there's two things we can do. And these are just my words, that we zoom in to truly see the actual problem, because that's very important. I can't ignore it. And some people do. So we zoom in to see the problem. Sometimes we get stuck in that zooming in and we start suffering. And you can see people for years, not just days and weeks and months, for years, they speak as if that incident, whatever the loss or the crisis may have been, happened like a minute ago. And then you say, that was 10 years ago. Okay. Because it wasn't communicated that way. So they have zoomed in on the problem, but we need to zoom out to see the solution. And then again, if we zoom out too fast, too quickly, and untimely, that also doesn't feel right. And that's why you see there's a lot of reaction in the Los Angeles community to those that, for whatever reasons, be it, financial or political or even personal preference, that are zooming too fast and too quickly to the solution. People are reacting. They're saying, hey, we're just like still burning. Can you just give us a minute?
Yeah.
So this zooming in and zooming out, really important.
It sounds great, but if I'm dealing with the heaviness of the emotions of everything that has just happened, it's not so easy. So
No.
how does one go about zooming in and
Mhm.
zooming out?
Mhm. Yes, I want to acknowledge again, it is not so easy, but it is doable. A lot of things are not easy. Giving birth, by the way, is not easy. I know you haven't experienced it, but I can tell you that's why they call it labor. But that's what rebirthing requires, labor. So is it
Rebirth.
easy? Yeah, rebirth. This is rebirthing.
Mm.
And I mean, these are my words again, these are my experiences. So between zooming in and zooming out, there exists a place in between I call the balanced and neutral room. In this neutral room, because it's too much of a difference between zooming in and zooming out. I can't just go from this to that. But if I go to the middle way and stay there, then we can decide, or I can decide, whether it is time for me to go back to zooming in. I still need to digest the scope of what has happened, or is it a good time to go to the zooming out place? That neutral room, that neutrality, that balance, that silence, that quietness, that contemplation space, that whatever you want to call it, is a very, very important aspect of a good, healthy relationship between problems and solutions.
Yeah. Yes, neutrality is such a beautiful place to be. And so much creativity opens up. All of a sudden, problems are just problems. They're not problems with these huge emotional charges that come with them. And agency is really alive in neutrality as well. But it's a neutral agency. It's not an agency that tries to go beyond what the present circumstances call for.
Yes.
So can you give us a sense of what this place of neutrality looks like and feels like?
Well, it feels neutral. There's a sense of peace and spaciousness. I think that's the best word to really describe that room. But I have to tell you, it's not that easy to get that. And I know you're going to say that to me, Troy. It's not that easy to get that. So you're very practical. I love that. And it's not. Let me acknowledge that it's not. There's a lot of blocks that stops us from even entering that space. But to just know that that space exists, it's a very, very good first step. They say, it's just like a lot of places I haven't been to, they say there is this place in this continent that it's very, very calm. I haven't been to, but I know it exists. So the mere acknowledgement of its existence give us a sense of settling down. And then I may not be able to go there because I may be, I don't know, blaming, I may be lamenting, I may be judging, I may be, saying I should have, could have, or they should have, could have, and I must have, all these things that we do, musting, shoulding, and that's fine. I mean, I always say, and you probably hear me at every episode, if I was complete, I would not have physicality and be on earth as a human being. And that's a beautiful thing to remember, especially in hard times. If I knew it all, if I could do it all, I probably will join those beings that we hear about, whether they're, real or not, that they have other powers and they don't have necessarily physicality. I am not complete. I didn't know better. I am hoping that I know better through this experience. And then when I know better, I can do better. So in that place, really, we get to a state that allows us to see beyond our limited, fearful, focused on problem kind of space.
Can you actually literally paint a picture for us? I know that you do this and you do it well. You guide people. It's like a mini meditation, if you will, where you take people to that place so that we can taste it and that we can have an anchor point.
Okay, let's do it together.
To reference. Let's do it.
Let me just do it with you. So to get comfortable in your seat. And if it feels safe for you, you can close your eyes. If not, you can just bring your gaze down and let us harmonize our breathing together by breathing really deep into our bellies. And for this moment, let's just bring most of our attention to this moment of shared experience, allowing your body to relax and release. If you're frowning, unfrown. If your shoulders are tight, relax and release. Allow your hands to rest and your feet to find a safe place, reminding yourself that in this moment you have nothing to do and nowhere to go except to be here. And together, let us walk gently together as a community into the fields of imagination. Let us activate our senses in this field. You can imagine you're walking on wet grass, feeling the wetness and coolness, seeing the greenness, smelling the freshness of the air. Imagine that you're hearing birds chirping and wind ever so slightly singing the song of harmony with nature. We're just playing. And in this field, which is a really open field, you cannot see an end at any direction. We gently, slowly, calmly, peacefully, with no rush, are moving in this field. And right in front of you, you can see a white, comfortable chair. I want you to take a seat in that chair and look around you. In this unlimited field, I want you to see the balance that exists in nature. There is calmness, there is togetherness, but there is no trying, there is no efforting. Things just are naturally in balance and harmony. And as you're listening to my words, there might be some challenges, there might be some arguments, some blocks that are coming up. Oh, but you don't know, and then what if this? And there's value to them. Acknowledge them. That's okay. Not now. A bit later, I attend to you. All the buts and ifs and shouldas and could'ves and would'ves. Respect them, acknowledge them, ask them to sit down. And you continue to observe and digest and take in the balance and the harmony that exist in this field. You have nothing to do and nowhere to go except to take in the vibration of neutrality, balance, and harmony. And of course, in your practice, you stay here as long as you need. Sometimes minutes, sometimes hours. I can be there for days. It's up to you. Whatever long time doesn't exist in this space. Whatever you need. And from here, there is a sense of spaciousness. And there are many, many other options available to you because you are one with the harmony and the balance and neutrality of nature. And perhaps from here you can ask that question. What is the next best step for me? Do I need to further investigate the problems? Or is this the right time for me to move and shift to looking at whatever has happened from a much larger picture? Is this the right time to zoom out? And sometimes we need to sit there until we get a sense of clarity. Sometimes it arrives right away, and sometimes it arrives when you're taking a shower, walking the dog, or just being. This place of neutrality is always available to you and always welcoming you. All you need to do is to intend to be there. So whenever you're ready, you can gently walk back from the same field and arrive in your body and feel your body and the senses. Touching the chair you're sitting on, your hands, and if you were closing your eyes, you may open your eyes, and here you are. That's balanced room, neutral room, available always. Imagination was the first thing that we gave up as a child. When we grow up, we only imagine when we're worrying, and worrying is an imagination gone wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for that. Your voice is so soothing. There's a lot of love in your voice. I
Thank
really
you.
felt it. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much for that. Yes, imagination is a beautiful thing. One of my favorite imaginations is I imagine a still lake,
Mm-hmm.
placid lake up in the mountains. It's surrounded by mountains. You
Mm-hmm.
can see the reflection of the mountains perfectly on the lake. And I literally imagine the stillness of the lake my mind becomes the stillness of that lake.
Mm-hmm.
And everything is in perfect balance and harmony. There's no effort.
I love
Somehow
that.
everything is happening. The trees are growing, they're photosynthesizing, the mushrooms are doing their things, and the air is moving, and it's all in balance and harmony, and there's no effort. There's no effort. It's a beautiful thing. It's a
Yes,
beautiful place.
it is.
So then catching ourselves
Mm-hmm.
when we fall out of neutrality,
Mm-hmm.
what are some ways of catching when we're out of neutrality?
It's very easy. When you know that you're not there, it's when everything feels tenser than what it is. That when we go into exaggeration, it's like exactly how we started. I feel I've lost everything. And then, like, I believe it or not, I've actually have lost everything at one stage of my life. Few, but the first one was, like, as you know, I walked out of the country of birth that I belonged to. And I truly lost everything. I mean, the home went, the contacts went, the friendships went, the support went, the possessions went. And I literally, when I got out, I had to buy things to wear. I didn't have clothes to wear. I had nothing. So I know what that feels. It's not an unfamiliar thing to me. But I also know that many times in life, I sneaked there and I said that again. I was like sneaking, saying, "Oh, I lost everything." And I thought, no, this is not that. I know what that is. I really do. Not many people say. And I hope that not many people can say in the future, but I really could say what it is like to lose everything. So mind exaggerates. And that's fine. That's the job of the rational mind. It exaggerates to protect us.
Mm-hmm.
But when that protection goes to overdrive, the protection turns into a new pain and extra pain.
Yeah.
And that's something we need to be aware of.
Yeah.
That overprotection, like any overdoing, that it's not good. Over kindness, overeating good food, over anything is not a healthy way or balanced way of living. So just be aware of that. It's a gentle reminder. And this is the time to be gentle with ourselves. These are harsh times. And when things are harsh outside, I can't be too harsh with myself. I know we usually are not that kind with ourselves, but this is not a good time. This is the time that we need to say, hey, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. I saw a person going really angry.
Mm.
I was at the store and he was a large man and he was really, I could just tell, I could just feel his pain.
Mm.
And that was the time. And I stood in front of him and my head was like, not meeting his head. And I said, and he said, what? I said, can I hug you? And he
Oh.
said, what? I said, can I hug you? And he just melted. He just melted because everybody was looking at him like he's an animal or he's wild or he's like, there's
Oh.
something wrong with him. But I could just tell. I mean, this is not I mean, you're in LA, you know that. It's not the time.
Mm.
Everybody is charged. Everybody has, like, it's not just an individual loss. The city is in mourning.
Mm.
And the city has lost something. So it's not like, what did you lose? It's just not that. I don't know people's stories. I don't know. I mean, as my teacher used to say, you don't know whose dog just died. You don't know whose partner just left them. You don't know whose child just, got hospitalized. Like, you don't know people's stories. And
Yeah.
I could just tell that this man was losing it. And
Mm.
he said, you want to really hug me? I said, yeah, if you're okay with it, I would love to hug you. And then he had to bend over because they were the right size. And then we just hugged. And it was just wonderful to see people around us because everybody was like looking, you know how people look at you when you're not like in your center or you're not
Yeah.
behaving like they're disgusted by you. And everybody softened up.
Wow.
A woman came and said, you go first. They gave him and it was never about anything, it's about something bigger.
Oh,
It just
that's
changed. It just
wow.
like,
Wow.
that's what we need. I mean, simple as that. I didn't do
Wow.
anything. I didn't even allocate more time. It was just like looking at him thinking, I know that feeling. I've been there. I just
Mm.
like, I hail, I scream, I cry. And I know like I'm desperate. I've
Oh,
been there.
yeah.
I've been there. I go there often. So I just looked at him. I said, what do I need when that happens? I said, like, just a hug, just a touch, just knowing that I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
And that's all it took.
Wow. Wow. What a gift that was for him and for everybody who was there. And of
Like
course for
for
you
me,
too.
yeah, for me, wow. I came out like, hopping. It's like, whoa. And if somebody asked, I couldn't even say why, but it was just so wonderful. It was the gift of connection.
Was love.
It
It
was a
was
pure love,
pure
pure love.
love, unconditional
Yes,
love. It was,
yes,
I see you. I see through all of this noise.
exactly.
I see through all of your anger and your pain.
Yes. And we are
And I,
one. And we are one. Your pain is my pain. That's exactly the pain I have, maybe for a different reason, but
amen.
that's the pain I know. That's the pain I have had.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's okay. And it's really okay to have that. So that's how we need to treat ourselves first and
Yeah.
foremost.
I love that. I love that you shared that story because it makes it so easy to take the feeling and the essence of that and turn it inwards.
Mm. Yes. What do you need? What
Yeah.
do you need? What's going on? What's going on with you? And it's like, oh, and when it comes out, I actually almost want to induce a crying session at times like this for myself. It's like almost a ritual for me. It's like, let me get it out of my system. And this happened and that happened. And by the way, my friend had to do this, like, and I didn't know. And my mother is 90. It's like all of them come at the same time. And, they all get exaggerated, of course. I exaggerate. No, there's a lot of never and evering, I never do this and ever, like, it never is better. It's like, it's not going to get better. And that's okay. And then I get it out of my system and I cry and I go and, to take a shower. And then I come and I think, oh, I feel much better. Nothing changed. The world is exactly the same as I left it to go for a shower. But it's just like allowing that to happen. It's all
Mm.
right.
Yep. Yep.
That's the best thing we can do.
Thank you for that. So now, seeing the bigger picture,
Yeah. Yes.
how how can one frame such
Mm.
a devastation to see it from a more positive light?
Yeah. It's not even positive because that's a forceful thing. It's about seeing the bigger picture. Imagination again. So let's imagine for a second. We're good at imagination, negative imagination. Let's just imagine that this was for me. Imagine, I'm not even saying it is. Please don't write to us and say, oh, what do you know? No. Let's imagine for a second if all of these was happening just for me to get something, get a message, get a lesson, get a piece of growth, whatever it is. If it was that, what would it be? Just, it will be a live question. You probably won't have the answer right away, but you allow that to be part of the questions that you have. Just add this to the list of questions that you have, because usually the first question is, why me?
Mm-hmm.
That's the first question, right? Why me?
Yeah. Yeah. Why did I have such bad luck?
Yes.
What did I do wrong?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. I mean, I can tell you, one perspective can be, I can, I will recover from this. I know I can recover from this. I always have survived. I've always made it through. But why do I have to go through it like this?
Mm-hmm.
Why is it being made so difficult for me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the answer has been, for me, I can only speak about my answers because I have gone through a lot in my life. It's always been, this is for you, and this is how you're gonna really grow. It's been a hard one, a lot of hard ones, not just one. There been a lot of hard ones, but every time, every time I went through a difficult time and a difficult experience, something amazing opened up for me when I asked that question. We're expediting our lesson learning, because here's the problem, and maybe we don't want to go too deep into this because this is the next step of our experience right now, that we can go through experiences without getting experienced. They're two different things. I can have 10 of same experience without really having experienced, having learned my lessons,
Yep.
basically, having
Yep.
grown through it area. So this is the expedition that is really, really helpful, that I sit there and I say, if there was something in it for me, imagine, what would it be?
Yes. And I like that. It doesn't mean that there has to be something in it for me,
No.
but move to that place of neutrality. Okay, emotions are calm. Mind is a little bit more clear. Okay, let's just play.
Mhm.
Let's just play. It doesn't have to be that there's a lesson in this for me, but maybe there is.
Yeah,
I'm curious, what could that be?
exactly. I wonder. So you start wondering, just inviting your curiosity, very, very childlike, and see, I wonder what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I recall my teacher once asked me, tell me about 2, 3 times in your life that you really shifted. And every single one that I mentioned was a time of loss. The first one
Yeah.
was when I told you we had a story about that my childhood friend died, like literally in front of me. And then when I lost my father, I was very young. Then I lost my country. So 3 things that I mentioned were like all huge losses.
Yeah.
None of them were like, oh, okay, I lost, da 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 da. And then he said, this was in relationship to my mothering. And then he said, I had asked him for some feedback. He had stayed in my home, which was an honor. Vivekanandas usually don't stay in people's home, but he did. And he said, and then how dare you to take that opportunity away from your children?
Mm,
And I still get shivers. I
mm,
never, ever forget that moment. I was taking him to the airport. I dropped him off and I sat in my car for hours. That moment changed my parenthood.
wow. Wow.
Just that question.
Yeah.
He said, 3 things you told me, all of them difficult, all of them about a loss. I said, yes. And I said, and then who has given you the permission to take those opportunities from your children and
Mm.
not letting them feel and learn and grow just like you have? So I ask that for any event that happens. I wonder, and I'm still wondering, I wonder, I can give you one that is the like more normal one. I was involved in an accident. 2 cars hit me from the back on the freeway. I had nothing to do with anything. I was driving the car. One car hits one car and the other car hits my car. And it was a really bad. I'm still suffering from back issues because of that. And I just wondered, and I asked myself, I wonder what is the lesson in this? Like, what is like? It looked like on the surface, like, come on, I didn't even have anything to do with it. Why was I there at that moment? Why would I be the third car that gets hit? Why?
Yeah.
And you know what it was? What came to me was that I was too involved in my spiritual life and I was really ignoring my body. And this way, I had to attend to my body and I was attending to it. I thought, oh my God, I'm sorry, my friend. I've been ignoring you, like a maintenance-free body, and body is not maintenance-free. I thought like, no, but I'm spiritual. It's like, yeah, but you have physicality. So that incident brought my attention back to this gift called my physical body that I was completely ignored. So simple as that. It doesn't need to, that I need to elevate my soul and become, it wasn't that. So like attend to your body. So life question, it will come to you when you ask. And if it doesn't, that's fine too. At least you have asked.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. The reminder that if we reflect on the most growth that we've had at various points in our life, where we've learned our biggest lessons, have come from adversity, have come from difficult situations. That's a wonderful reminder.
Most of the time, absolutely. When we elevate, I haven't been there yet, that we can learn. I mean, it is possible. I just want to say that it is possible to learn and grow and elevate without pain and suffering. But most of the time, most of us get there and see that potentiality when there is something challenging in front of us.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, yeah.
This was wonderful, Mitra. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with us. Thank you for your love and your care, your compassion, and your dedication to helping so many people to overcome and to rise and be the best version of themselves.
Thank you. And I'm sorry for anybody who had a loss that is suffering, and not just in Los Angeles. I don't want to just focus here. For your losses and suffering and pain anywhere in the world, whether it's internal fire or external fires that you have to deal with. I'm sorry for your pain, and may you find your way through all of this.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. For a list of the links and other resources referenced in this episode, check out the podcast description.
If you're benefiting from our podcast, we'd love if you could help us reach more people by subscribing. Your support means the world to us. From our hearts to yours, we thank you.